Hey there everyone, Lord Frigid here with another episode of Aether Raids Offense. Today's video covers the recently completed Astra season. I had a fairly smooth season after my first day. Unfortunately, I had Plumeria in the 6th slot of a bunch of my raiding parties. I think I swapped her into there when Regan was a bonus unit, and then I just never brought her back out. And she was still there on the first day of the Astra season, and the first map I ran into was this super cancerous surround the savior armors with no weapon rally users. And I really needed to deploy Dragon Wagon or Brunya team against that, and Plumeria was in 6th slot on both. And then I instead of actually doing calculations to see if Claude could pull it off, I just kind of threw him in there. If I had known, I probably would have just sent in Dragon Wagon anyway. But, oh well, kind of want to stick it to that setup as well. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that setup. Okay, you will see that in the battle dump. You'll get to see 5+ turns of Claude failing to kill a Hector. Yay. Yeah, so that's enough ranting from me. Let's go ahead and get into today's matches. The first map up is a space oppression-ish setup featuring high-range cavalry in Ares, Reinhardt, and Mia, and also Sigurd to a certain extent, to reduce the amount of space the attackers have to work with when they try to plan an approach. It's a very honest setup. I didn't actually remember to grab the skill sets, unfortunately, but I can tell you now that there weren't any really big assist traps or anything. It's just if you try and play somebody in their range, a bunch of calves will come at you and try to beat you down. I would say that probably one of the more effective strategies here would be a dual tanking strategy, placing a very bulky main tank here in the range of Ares, Reinhardt, and Sigurd. They can take them on, and when Duma moves, after he gets Mirabilis fresh, there's no way he can reach that space. And then to deal with the Mia, to prevent her from moving and getting Mirabilis refresh, you would place another tank, say somebody who can maybe just really designed to just take the burden off a primary tank shoulder, someone like Altina maybe, and stick them in Mia's range, either in one of these two spaces rather, and they can deal with her. And that should lead you to an easy victory. Alright, I had a bit of a snafu with the positioning at the beginning. I totally forgot what my starting position was supposed to be, so I'm just going to start the recording from here, and call that good. So, a bit of an unconventional strategy here, actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to smite Micaiah up 2 spaces here, and she's going to take out Ares. After she takes out the Ares, I'm going to refresh her with Plumeria, and instead of retreating, I'm actually going to have Micaiah move up another 2 spaces and take out Mia. That leaves her in range of Reinhardt, Duma, and Mirabilis. Mirabilis is actually going to attack Micaiah from her current space, which blocks Duma from doing the same. So she's really only going to be taking attacks from Reinhardt and Mirabilis. When I ran the numbers, and she actually takes less damage from Reinhardt and Mirabilis than she would from Reinhardt and Sigurd. I thought that was quite interesting, actually. So Mirabilis is going to go first because she doesn't die a horrible, painful death like Reinhardt does. He's going to get absolutely wiped out by Micaiah's Glimmer, and then Duma is just going to meaninglessly advance. And after that, I'll have to see, I guess, where Duma moves, whether he goes straight down or down right. Alright, so he goes down right. I guess I should have expected that. Let's see, how do I want to... Okay, Brunya can take out Duma. That's a good start. And then because Micaiah's in Wings of Mercy range, I can probably... Mirabilis is pretty slow. I think I may be able to have Micaiah take her out. Let me take a look here, see if she wins this matchup. Oh, she does. That's nice. So if I do this... Yeah. Then I can refresh with Plumeria. Or smite with Naga. Keep Sigurd trapped. I think I'm just going to refresh. That allows me to grab the Aether Amphore here as well. And then I can just move my units around. I'd love to be able to get that Aether Fountain on the next turn. Let's see. We'll see if I have a path to that. Okay. So, what am I going to do here? I think I just do this. I think I'll have Micaiah do it. I can have a Plumeria refresh, and then Naga will smite her over. She can then move down left, take out the fountain. And next turn, we'll have to see if she can actually deal with the Sigurd. I worry a little bit about the Gilt Goblet mitigating 50% of her attack, but she does have cavalry effectiveness, and she's able to take him out. Sweet.
Together forever.
The second map is a 7th slot trap, and unfortunately for this map designer, as part of the Mock Battles series, I had just been... I was basically just fresh off of testing a bunch of 7th slot traps. So they got the short end of the stick in that regard, since I was pretty prepared to read and deal with such setups. The trap is that Ephraim will have his action taken away from him at the beginning of any enemy phase where all the defense team's units are still alive. He will get refreshed by Sigurd. If there is a unit in Sigurd's extended threat range, which, unless you're running some funky undermanned team, there should be somebody, just because Veronica and Lynn cover cover a bunch of other spaces quite nicely. He will receive a rally from Lilina, and Lilina herself will get a refresh from Mirabilis, and facilitating all of this, of course, is the odd recovery on Veronica to stop things like isolation and gravity from hindering the trap. Interestingly enough, Lilina also gets her Blazing Flame first thing due to her weapon, Grand Scratcher on Veronica, and Quicken Pulse, so that's another thing to watch out for. As far as weaknesses, I cannot stress this enough. The best way to help yourself deal with 7 slot traps is to have open backline space. Seriously, it will work wonders for you. Another thing to note is that being in Sigurd's range alone will not make the AI aggressive. Since he doesn't have his action anymore. Now, if you start the enemy phase, if the enemy phase starts and you have a unit in his range, then yeah, the AI will be aggressive. But just the act of him moving to refresh and finding one of your units in his threat range, that will not make the AI aggressive. Now, if you have somebody in Lilina's threat range, yeah, she's going to go gun in for your unit. But I do actually have enough space to hide everybody from Lilina's range. So I was able to prevent the AI from becoming aggressive turn 1, and I was able to engage on turn 2 when things were a lot easier. You could get less pressure from the odd Tempest, Saros, and Ephraim, who would otherwise just be bearing down upon you, even if you did manage to weather out the storm, or the blazing flame of Lilina, as it were. So let's go ahead and get into my attempt, and we will see how I took this one on. I'm going to go ahead and send in the Galeforce raiding party. Strangely enough, I'm not actually going to be initiating the first combat, which is unusual for a Galeforce team, but there you go. I decided to throw Naga onto this team this season just to see what I thought about it. I really wanted to improve this team's matchups into Saros, and so far I am very pleased with the results. Actually, in this case, Altina would have worked as well, but it was still very nice to see that she was effective. So I'm going to put Naga here. When this trap triggers, she's going to be in Sigurd's extended threat range, but nobody else will be. And nobody's going to be in Lina's extended threat range, so the AI will not become aggressive. So I should see a refresh out of the Sigurd here, followed by a rally from the Lina, because Naga is in his threat range, he is eligible to receive it, and then a refresh from Mirabilis. And now I need to take some thinking time to make sure I've got everything straight. I have determined that I am good to go here. I just need to break this fence with Regan. That will allow her access to the cavalry that will advance during this next enemy phase. Lilina is going to rally Sigurd, and because Sigurd can deal at least 5 damage, he's not going to refresh Ephraim, which means that all the refresh power is now gone, and Sigurd versus Naga is the only combat that's going to happen. He deals a nice chunk of damage to Naga, which I figure could be useful for in terms of making her a Wings of Mercy beacon for both Valoria and Plumeria. And then the rest of the cavalry should just advance. Except Lilina didn't because of the rally. Shoot. Crud. I need to think about this a little more. Alright. Foolish me forgot that Lilina was going to post-combat rally. But Regan can actually KO Veronica here in 2 hits. That's a good starter. And what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to break that Golden Throne. And what that's going to do is it'll let Tibarn go up and take on the Saros. he is going to land a 2 HKO. Unfortunately, even though he's got that 64 damage. Oh, he deals 64 damage. She must not have had Dragon Wall. I thought she did. Okay, awkward. Well, that's fine. I calculated for that scenario first, honestly. So now I can have Tibarn take on the Ephraim. And from there, he's going to activate his Galeforce, and then he's going to be able to take out the Lilina. And then I will have what's her name? Regan deal with the Lin, because I don't want her free to roam around. And unfortunately, it looks like Regan might take out Mirabilis on the enemy phase, but that's okay. I'm sure I'll survive. I mean, it's the last battle of the season, so technically I don't need the Aether Structures. It just would have been real nice to get them, but with the way those enemies were lined up, I had no choice. My hand was forced. So let's see, I don't know, maybe without her initiation skills, Regan won't get the KO. We'll have to see. Alright, no, she will. So no Aether Structures for me, but again, I don't really care that much. And that is it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Aether Raids Offense. Some rather unconventional strategies used by those two teams, at least relative to what I usually do with them. That was pretty interesting, I thought. Next week, we'll be going back into Light Season, where the beginning of the season coincides with the release of Dagger's Mythic Hero Banner as a new Light Season Mythic. She will open up that 6th slot on Light Season raiding parties. Perhaps, if my polls go well, we will see that in next week's Aether Raids Offense episode. Anyway, that's all I have for you in this video, so thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.